Hello, all. You'll remember that the last time we spoke, we had been talking about health, and in particular, at the very end of that class, sleep. Specifically, we had started talking about the dangers of sleep deprivation, and really, the most important danger of all is to one's overall cognitive function. Think about the results of a regular lack of sleep as a sleep debt. Like all debts, the sleep debt is eventually paid whether we want to or not. The payment of that debt comes in flooding the brain with sleep toxins, in other words, those things that put us to sleep, and their effect can really be intoxicating in a very negative way. Particularly, they get to cause us to be less able to do the sorts of things that we rely upon every day. Basic decision making, judgment, emotional regulation, being able to think things through, being able to do tasks like even driving a car, for example. All of these things can be negatively affected by a sleep debt. That means then paying particularly close attention to our quality and quantity of sleep. First, we have to avoid the usage of any substances before bed, and this is particularly and especially nicotine, caffeine, and alcohol. Now, the first two of these things I think should be pretty clear on why it is that we wouldn't want to use them before bed because, of course, they are both stimulants. With alcohol, though, there is a popular misconception that a drink or two before bed will help to put us to sleep and keep us there. Perhaps it puts us to sleep, although really we're passing out, and that comes with problems in and of itself. The issue, though, is that as we metabolize that alcohol, it's possible that once the metabolism has done with it, we'll wake up again because we are no longer under the influence of alcohol, and it's more or less guaranteed that we're going to have a very hard time getting to sleep again, right? So even if it puts us to sleep, the likelihood is that it won't keep us there, and the quality of sleep afterwards will suffer dramatically. Following this, we also want to make sure that we don't eat before bed. This is an important guideline, first for overall health. Whatever calories we take in right before going to sleep will not be properly metabolized while we're asleep. But I think that we've all experienced the unpleasant sensation of having a very, very full belly and attempting to sleep and not being able to because we're uncomfortable. So clearly, we want to avoid that. Following that up in terms of other things to avoid is napping. We've all probably been there, particularly if we had to get up early someday. There is that moment mid to late afternoon when it seems very tempting to take a nap and, maybe perk oneself up. Now, maybe it works that way. Maybe you're able to nap and feel good afterwards. I've never been. In fact, I've always suffered for it and been in a really negative mood after waking up, so I had to stop it for that reason. However, thinking about napping in the slightly longer term, having to do with the way that it affects an entire day and the way that one eventually sleeps afterwards, it will inevitably negatively affect the sleep cycle of the day that it happens in. And it's exactly the reason that we need to avoid it. Um, Avoiding it might be difficult, again, if we've had that really early morning. And if it happens enough, that's a reason to adjust an entire schedule. But we have to avoid napping. Again, this is for the good of one's sleep schedule overall. It might be tempting if we have a very hectic schedule to work in a workout just before bed, if that's the only free time we have. But really, a good workout, one that works the way a workout should, is actually going to negatively affect our ability to sleep. Right? Think about it. We benefit from a workout because the bodily systems involved are all being heightened. They're all working harder. We're burning more calories. Our metabolism is higher. And simply put, these are all things that do the opposite. They wake us up, they don't help us go to sleep. Avoiding those sorts of things, though, come down to establishing and maintaining a consistent and helpful sleep wake routine, particularly pre sleep. This means maybe even as much as an hour or two beforehand, doing consistent things that are designed to help us relax and over time, designed to help condition ourselves to go to sleep more regularly and predictably. This could vary from person to person. I know that in our household, we're making tea and other sorts of things a couple hours before bed. We're sitting down, we're putting our phones down, things like that that are supposed to help us be eventually able to go to sleep. But it could differ for you. Clearly, this is going to change based on our routine, our preferences, the things around us. The importance of this is that we find a routine and we keep it consistent enough that it helps us to be able to go to sleep, though. Also included in this pre sleep planning is making sure that our environment is conducive to sleep. There are certain ways in which this is universal. Even a little bit of light is enough to throw one's sleep cycle off. We'll probably need relative quiet, although I say relative because I'd imagine that the usage of some amount of background noise has grown with, products like Alexa, smart speakers. Google has one. These things make it pretty easy to put some background noise on. I mention it because my wife and I found just at the beginning of lockdown that some rain noises help us to sleep, and we've kept using them because it was so helpful to us and our overall quality of sleep then. Lastly, because we are actually so we are so malleable, we are so able to train ourselves in negative ways, we've got to be really careful with how we use our beds. They have to be used for sleeping only to avoid the possibility that we train ourselves to do other things there, such as studying, watching TV, playing games, etc. Leave the bed for sleep. Make sure that you're not conditioning yourself to want to do other things while lying in bed. Otherwise, you're going to lie there and you're going to be trying to go to sleep, and your body's going to be going, no, wait a second. We have these other things we do here. And unfortunately, it's going to make it a whole lot harder to sleep that day.